DM Dango here with another player tip. This one is going to be for both players and DMs, but don't worry, it has nothing to do with running the game, more about your expectations of it. Expectation. Why am I being deliberately vague here? Well, part of it is because there was a bit of a Twitter storm a while back around this kind of tip that I'm about to give. And there was a lot of feelings from both sides of the argument kind of trying to figure out what the best solution here was. And the only thing I could come up with personally was this. Your game, no matter how good it is, no matter how experienced the players or DM are, will never be Critical Role from game one. Now, I will unpack that here. So, the Twitter argument was this, essentially. Somebody said this, and preface it with your game will never be Critical Role. Will never have these things because inherently they are shows and programs, and that's what they are designed to do. And no man, no woman shall ever be that as a real D&D game. They are not playing D&D. As I am on high and waving my wand and waving my little scepter and decree as the gatekeeper of D&D. Wavy, 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 flaggy, flaggy. Sorry for the bit of derision, I have a bit of a problem with that in general, and it gets on my craw. But essentially, I'm saying the same thing, aren't I? Well, no, I'm not. I'm not because I think striving for those goals, for those things that make those shows entertaining, interesting, and engaging is still worthwhile. Matt's ability to use voices to evoke imagery, his descriptions, Chris Perkins and his ability to weave an interesting and unique story in dice camera action, Mark Hume's ability to evoke such incredible emotion in his players that he gets them to break down and cry. All of these things are worth striving for. They are worth going after, if that's the kind of game you want. But, and here's where it's a little contentious. Your game is probably not going to be that way from the start. Now, part of this is that your DM and your players and you as a person are not the same as those people who are in those shows. They have different experiences to you and they have different talents and abilities. The ones from Critical Role are either voice actors, Emmy-nominated actors, or BAFTA-winning actors, or actresses, sorry. So, to say you can compete on their level with no experience in those fields is a little arrogant, if I'm honest. Now, I'm not saying that you can't, as a person, have those natural talents or gain those abilities. You certainly can. It is more than possible you will be as great and brilliant as an actor as anyone on any of those shows. But to start with, at your very beginning, there's another factor here as well. The people on those shows have known each other for years. And in some cases, in the case of Critical Role, they were playing that game of D&D years before the camera started rolling. And that's the point. You need time to build up the bonds between the players and their characters before you can really start kind of easing out these strong narrative arcs and these interesting and unique encounters. It takes time. Going into a D&D game with expectations that it's going to be Critical Role is just going to lead to heartache and probably frustration as to why it's not there. And the frustration leads to some other things. Now, I can speak from personal experience from this because as a DM, I had this problem where I was like, I'm not getting what I want out of this and I didn't understand why. And then I eventually came to the realization that it was because I was creating an unrealistic expectation for myself and for my players that was resulting in a lot of animosity from me and from them. Now, a lot of that was on me because I was the one setting those expectations. They hadn't, I did. So that's why I said at the beginning of this video is that this is for both DMs and players. We are both guilty of it and more than capable of setting a very unrealistic and dangerous expectation for ourselves. So, in closing, remember, your game won't be Critical Role from the start, but it might be at the end. Thank you. Peace out.